latest news in the streets. Join us and tune in for the tea. Breaking news with integrity. So tell your friends and your family. It's the Lovely Tea TV Show. Bringing you good tea and good vibes. It's the Lovely Tea TV Show. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe.
So before we get into this, I need y'all to think about something, okay? When did gambling become so normal? And I'm not talking about Las Vegas. I'm not talking about casino. I'm talking about on your phone. When did it become normal to bet on a game while you're watching it, lose money in real time and laugh it off, then do it again the next day like nothing happened? Because just a few years ago, sports betting and sports gambling was what? Objection. Very much illegal. And now it's everywhere. It's being promoted by your favorite athletes, your favorite podcasters, your favorite influencers, even the league themselves. It's crazy, and most people don't even realize what they slowly walked into until it's too late.
I lost all my money sports betting, so now I'm at McDonald's for a job interview because Victor Wembanyama can't hit fucking 3 threes. Bum ass.
So tea sippers, I hope you guys are having a good day today. Make sure you guys have your teacups ready because this tea is what? Piping hot. So if you guys do not know, today we're going to be talking about something that I promise is affecting everybody in your family, including my family, because you know we're a sports family, and I even see it overtaking my family.
$300,000 in debt on credit cards. His wife just found out, and it's all sports betting, which is probably the fastest growing addictive problem that we're running into in the money world right now.
That's right.
Out of control sports betting. You can bet on whether they're going to dance backwards or forwards after a touchdown. You can bet on anything, right? Mm-hmm. And they are betting on everything, and it's out of control. Some of you are losing your entire futures to betting on watching someone else earn a living.
Somebody in your friend group, family member, your social circle right now, there's a very real chance that, you know, they are into sports betting. The entire system was designed to make sure that you guys didn't see it coming. So we're going to talk about it today. It's not just a hobby. It's just not bypassing the time. It has seriously become an epidemic, a machine and a pipeline that's quietly taking people from being regular sports fans into being financially and emotionally hooked.
The strong correlational studies that we do have show a 25 to 30% increase in personal bankruptcies, increase in auto loan delinquencies, increase in use of debt consolidation loans in states within a few months following the arrival of online sports betting, as well as reduced savings and investments in low-income households, as well as increased cases of childhood neglect. And there's some debate about this, but about cases of domestic violence as well.
And the wild part is, it didn't happen by accident. Over the last 7 years, this has been built right in front of us with the help of sports leagues, betting companies, celebrities, influencers, podcasters, and even comedians.
DraftKings. Now I know it's a Super Bowl and all, but everyone gets a free bet? Man, that's big.
Poppy. So what's Kev betting?
The short odds?
You're both
Ludicrous.
Hey, I heard Kevin's taking the under.
the under. Please. I ain't no Undertaker. Hey, I'm watching you like a hawk.
Tony Hawk? Like the bird?
All customers, head to the DraftKings Sportsbook app to claim your free bet now.
Kev, your face is delicious.
They're all playing a role, whether they realize it or not, in making the most aggressively marketed form of gambling in American history.
So just to be clear, studies show that roughly almost half of American men between the ages of 18 through 49 have a sports betting account on their phone. And who, if they have $10,000, $20,000, that's not enough anymore to buy a house. That's not enough anymore to pay off a student loan, but maybe it's enough to run it up to $100,000 or $1 million if you can hit a parlay on the Knicks game tomorrow night.
So we're going to break down how we got here, because for some people, it's not entertainment anymore. This is their rent money, their bill money, and this is a straight up addiction that people are not willing to call out. So for 26 years, from 1992 until 2018, sports betting was essentially illegal across the United States outside of Nevada. The law was called PASPA, the Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act. Congress passed it in 1992, and it simply stated that you could not sponsor, operate, advertise, promote, license, or authorize sports gambling outside of Nevada because Nevada was already grandfathered in. Delaware, Montana, and Oregon had limited exemptions, but everywhere else in the other 46 states, every regular person who wanted to bet on their team, it was illegal, and the leagues themselves were amongst the loudest people defending that law. That means the NHL, the NFL, and the NBA, and even the Major Baseball League. All of them filed legal challenges challenges to protect the PASA. They called sports gambling a threat to the integrity of the game. They said it would corrupt athletes and undermine fans' trust. This is what they told the American public. And then on May 14th, 2018, the United States Supreme Court struck down PASPA in the case of Murphy versus the NCAA.
The country moving to launch sports betting operations after a Supreme Court decision cleared the way to do that. In a 6-3 vote yesterday, the justices struck down a decades-old federal law that barred betting on football, baseball, basketball, and other sports. The court said the law violated states' rights. Americans spend an estimated $150 billion with a B a year on illegal sports betting. Legalized gambling could offer states a new source of tax revenue. The original challenge came from New Jersey, which says it will have sports betting up and running within weeks. The NFL, Major League Baseball, and the NCAA urged the court to uphold the ban. They argued that expanding gambling hurts the integrity of their sports.
The court ruled that 7-2, the PASPA violated the anti-commandeering doctrine, meaning the federal government could not tell states what to do with their own gambling laws. The court wrote in its opinion, Congress can regulate sports gambling directly, but if it elects not to do so, then each state is free to act on its own.
Major ruling by the U.S. Supreme Court means you'll soon be able to legally bet on your favorite teams. Before now, you could only do that in Nevada.
And sports betting may be available sooner than you think.
Big news for sports bettors breaking Monday. The Supreme Court gave states the green light to allow sports gambling. A 7-2 vote by the justices declared the Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act unconstitutional. Under that law, legally betting on single-game sports with a bookie in the United States was only possible in the state of Nevada. Well, the landmark case ruling in favor of the state of New Jersey means that all other states are able to take the matter into their own hands. Sports gambling in Jersey is expected to be up and running within weeks, possibly even in time for the NBA Finals. Many other states are likely to follow.
The states acted fast. Delaware became the first state outside of Nevada to legalize sports betting on June 5th, 2018.
Delaware officials just announced they will offer Las Vegas-style sports betting in the state on June 5th. Officials say Delaware's 3 casinos will begin taking bets at 1:30 p.m. next Tuesday. It comes after the U.S. Supreme Court struck down the federal ban on sports betting earlier this month. Gamblers will be able to wager on several professional sports, including football, basketball, and baseball.
New Jersey was right behind.
There's an old adage that you bet with your head, not with your heart. So for the past 7 years, our heads and hearts were in alignment as we fought to overturn an unlawful and unfair federal law. We knew in our heads we were right, and we knew in our hearts that we'd win.
Let's go! Let's have fun betting on sports!
Then came the stampede. By 2014, just 6 years after that Supreme Court decision, sports betting was legal in 38 states and Washington, D.C. The number of legal sports books grew from 1 state in 2017 to 38 in 2024. The total legal sports wagers grew from 4.9 billion in 2017 to 149.9 billion in 2024. That's a 34% increase in less than 7 years. And 95% of all that money moved through apps on people's phones. And what's so crazy is that the same leagues that spent years fighting the federal courts to protect PASPA, these were the same organizations that told Congress and the American public that sports betting was a threat to the integrity of the game. They literally flipped within months of the Supreme Court decision. Within 1 year of legalization, virtually every major sports league had cut official sponsorship deals with betting companies. Then NFL signed a deal with Caesar Entertainment worth $30 million per year to become the main casino and sports gambling sponsor. DraftKings became an official daily fantasy and sports betting partner of the NFL, NHL, and PGA Tour and the UFC, and an official sports betting partner of the NBA. The UFC deal with DraftKings was reportedly worth $350 million across 5 years, the largest gambling sponsorship deal in America. FanDuel has officially partnered with the NFL, the NBA, and a long list of individual teams. BetMGM's top league deal with Major League Baseball, according to global data analysis, analysis. The NFL alone ranks second, third, and fourth in terms of the largest annual gambling sponsorship deal values in America, with FanDuel, DraftKings, and Caesars all paying $40 million annually for NFL partnership, $40 million each, from the same league that fought in federal court for years to keep betting, all paying $40 million annually for NFL partnership. So when a league signs an official partnership deal with the betting company, that company gets the right to use the official team's logo and branding in their advertisements. They get in-arena and in-stadium advertising. They get naming rights to specific lounges inside the venues. They get integration into the broadcast coverage. They get official credibility of the league attached to their product. So when you're watching an NFL game and you see a FanDuel ad, you're not just seeing an ad. You're seeing the official sports betting partner of the National Football League, a product that's been given the league's institutional blessing. When DraftKings signed a multi-year advertising deal with NBC Universal in September of 2025, they were featured across NFL coverage, PGA Tour, Premier Leagues, NCAA football, basketball, the NBA, the WNBA simultaneously. One betting company across every major sport on every major platform all at once. That's not advertising. That is straight up marketing saturation all at once. So not only were they advertising to people, they were saturating the market as well. Now let's talk about the numbers, because the numbers are proof. In 2024, Americans legally wagered $147.9 billion on sports. That was a 23% increase from the 2023 record. The industry's revenue to the sports books themselves was $13.71 billion. That $13.71 billion in revenue is what the house kept. That is the money that went into people's phones, into betting slips that never came back. That $13.71 billion came out of people's checking accounts, their savings accounts, their kids' tuition money, their rent. The house always wins. It doesn't matter if it's on your phone or if it's in the casino. So because of the legalization and the league deals being the foundation of sports betting, they opened the door and what you might call the floodgate to the influencer pipeline and the celebrity pipeline and the podcast pipeline as well. All of these channels were working simultaneously to make sports betting feel normal, feel fun, and feel like something smart people do on their Sunday afternoons. As far as the leagues, they themselves were turning their broadcast into betting content. When you watch a football game today, you're not just watching a game anymore. You're watching an integrated betting experience that has been designed specifically to keep you engaged with wagering options throughout the entire broadcast. In-game betting, also called live betting, now account for more than half of all bets placed. That means people are not just betting on who wins the game before kickoff. They are betting on individual plays, on specific players, and on whether the next pitch is going to make a ball or a strike, or the outcome of each quarter, on prop bets attached to moments that happen in real time. These apps are designed to ping you during the games with new betting options. The algorithm learns what you have bet on before and serves you the next option based on your betting history. A researcher from UC San Diego published a study in JAMA's Internal Medicine, finding that Google searches for gambling addiction have increased by 23% nationally since the ruling happened. They're saying that approximately 7.3 million searches for gambling addiction help is at its peak. The expansion of legal sports betting and searches for addiction help grew on the exact same curve at the exact same time. That's not a coincidence. And before we get into the celebrities and the influencers, I want y'all to know this. In December of 2025, it was found that 22% of Americans, 48% of men ages 18 to 49, report having at least one online sportsbook account. Nearly 4.2 million Americans are estimated to struggle with sports betting addiction. In 2025, the rate of gambling disorder among sports bettors is twice as high as among gamblers in general. When sports gambling is conducted online, the problem rate is even higher. One study online found that 16% met the clinical criteria for gambling disorder, and another 13% showed signs of problem gambling. Parlay betting, the kind where you chain multiple bets together for a bigger payout, nearly doubled in prevalence from 2018 to 2024, with 30% of the sports bettors now making parlay wages.
What do you think is going on with the NBA? Why are their ratings down?
I just think I'm an NBA fan. I just went to the Laker-Celtics game a couple weeks ago, and I'll be at another Celtics game, and I just think that the NBA has gotten soft. And everybody sees it.
In what sense?
We were just talking about this at dinner tonight. I mean, if you look at the NBA when we grew up.
Yeah.
So I'm a lifelong diehard Celtics fan.
Well, yeah,
okay?
New England.
But when people ask me about idols and heroes and all these kind of stuff, so I've had people who've had influence on me, like Bruce Lee and Mike Tyson and lots of other people growing up. But Michael Jordan to me is, I've never met Michael Jordan, and I don't want to meet Michael Jordan. I don't ever want to meet him. I am
That's probably a good call.
Biggest Michael Jordan fan ever, of his mentality, the way that I like killers, man. And Michael Jordan was a killer. And the stuff that his teammates say about him that everybody says, I love it. And the NBA just isn't like that.
So this is why they really started to push sports betting to make up for the money that they were losing and the viewers that they were losing. Like I said earlier, for years, these leagues spent decades telling people that gambling would destroy the integrity of sports. But we got to ask ourselves, why did they change their mind? And the answer is simple: money and viewerships. Let's not forget, before sports betting got really popular in the past 3 years, a lot of people had been complaining about the NFL and the NBA and how they were losing viewers. People were, cutting off the cord. The only thing that was keeping cable afloat was a lot of these, NBA shows and NFL shows. And people were saying that it wasn't even worth it anymore to pay for any of these sports packages because the game had gotten so terrible. These players were not playing at their best. And a lot of people were starting to turn their back on the league. Okay? So behind the scenes, both the NFL and the NBA were dealing with something that they didn't want to publicly admit at the time. They were losing people. They were, viewership was down. It was declining. The ratings were inconsistent and the fans were complaining all over social media. People said the games weren't as exciting. The seasons felt too long. The players didn't seem engaged. And the NBA especially, people were openly saying that they weren't watching like they used to. Now with the NFL, they were still somewhat going strong, but they were still losing engagement and attention. And in today's world, attention is everything. That is a new currency, because attention equals ad revenue, sponsorship deals, TV contracts, and billions of dollars. So when people stop watching, that's not a fan issue. That's definitely a financial situation brewing in the future. So the solution that they found to this was, instead of asking how do we make the game better, the industry quietly pivoted to how do we make people be more invested in the outcome. And that's where sports betting came in. Because once you put money on the game, not only are you watching, you're locked in. Because you want to see, is your player going to make the play? You want to know every stat, every possession. Even games that you normally wouldn't watch, you're going to tune in if you have money on that game. So a random Tuesday night game that nobody cares about has now become must-see TV, because everybody's trying to see if their parlay or their DraftKings or their FanDuel hit. The real strategy is this: they didn't just allow gambling, they partnered with it. They integrated into broadcast, app, pregame shows, and commentary. You started seeing odds on the screen, betting segments during halftime shows, and analysis talking about spreads like it was normal. And suddenly the same league that once said gambling was dangerous, we're now building it directly into the fan experience. So they didn't just bring back gambling, they used it to solve a problem of declining attention, declining engagement, and declining revenue. And the solution was to turn fans into participants and milk them for whatever money they have to bet on the games. Here's the part that's really nerve-wracking, because once you turn fans into active gambling participants, you don't just increase engagement, you're introducing them to real risk. Because now it's no longer I hope my team wins. Now it's I need my team to win. And that shift is really scary. People don't even watch the games how they used to watch it a few years ago. People literally have their phones in their hands and they're just hoping to win. They're so desperate.
I'm 100-0. I'm 130.
See that all the time.
Anybody that says they don't lose is a
Yeah.
Make sure you look at them in the face when they tell you that. That way you know what they look like when they're lying to you.
It's so easy to fake it too on Instagram.
100%.
It doesn't even make it fun for me to watch sports anymore, especially with like my guy friends and my family members, because everybody's into this whole sports betting. It's all about the bet. It's not about the game. It's not about the players. The players are now just simply a commodity. Not just for the league, but for the viewers who are watching the game and have money on the game.
Cavs head coach JB Bickerstaff revealed that he's been getting death threats from sports gamblers who are somehow obtaining his phone number and texting him his address as a threat. And this is just insane. Bickerstaff also added that he feels sports betting has obviously crossed the line.
There's no doubt about it. that it's crossed the line. You know, the amount of times where, you know, I'm standing up there and we may have a 10-point lead and the spread is 11 and people are yelling at me to leave the guys in so that we can cover the spread. Like, it's ridiculous.
Also this week, we heard Tyrese Halliburton make these comments that sports betting is dehumanizing all those involved in the NBA, whether it be a player, coach, ref, etc.
To half the world, I'm just, helping them make money on DraftKings or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I'm the prop. You know what I mean?
And these comments come after the news this week that you can now bet on games through your preferred sportsbook in the NBA app while watching League Pass.
These are not sports fans. These are people who are hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt to online sports betting.
This is from the previous pitching change. Torey Lovello with Ketel Marte in tears on the pitcher's mound, waiting for the reliever to come in, consoling Ketel Marte, who was in tears during that break. And for more on exactly what is wrong, or at least an idea, we go to Todd Walsh.
Now, the reason as to why Ketel Marte had an emotional breakdown on the pitcher's mound as they were playing the Chicago White Sox is because a sports gambler, and I want to make sure that language is clear, a person who was chronically in debt to online sports gambling had been heckling him about his mother who had passed away. Now, according to NBC News, it stated that the Arizona Diamondbacks manager, Torey Lovello, had jumped in to aid the second baseman who goes by the name of Ketel Marte after a fan, not a fan. I want to make that clear. It's not a fan. That is a person who was one bet away from losing their home. They stated that that gambler was ridiculing the player about his late mother. Now, after that incident in a press conference, this is what Torey had to say.
It was a terrible moment. Fans are nasty and fans go too far sometimes. And I love my players and I'm going to protect them.
Guy on here, and God, I wish I could figure out his name, but if you know who he is, please tag him below. He had did this like 8 to 10 minute video where he stated that the rise of online sports betting has brought out these type of people who show up to these arenas. And I believe that there was an athlete, an Olympic athlete, a female Olympic athlete who was also heckled. And then the person went online and bragged about it, how her performance had allowed him to win a bet. This is what we're going to start seeing because of the rise of online sports betting. And there was a reason why George Bush banned it. Because now we have athletes having emotional breakdowns in the middle of games, which one is bad for their mental health, okay? And two, it could ultimately affect their performance in the game. And what about the individuals who showed up to the game to watch a literal game? So whoever that person was, they did state that Torey, the manager, had requested for them to be removed from the stadium. And more than likely, they'll probably be banned from the stadium, but it doesn't matter because whatever bet that gambler who is in increasingly amount of debt had made is probably paying off right now.
Come on, Pablo. I need 2 more points, homie. 2 more points, you carry my parlay. Listen, I won every day since Sunday. Preseason, bro, relax. I won every day since Sunday, bro.
And the fans that are in the crowd, they expect, like, they don't, I feel like sometimes fans don't know what you go through mentally, spiritually, physically when you play back-to-back games.
You have a bad game because niggas got their parlays on it. Like, you can't even go on the internet. Like, you can't just don't even log onto the internet.
You know, gambling and sports betting has completely taken the purity away and the fun away from the game at times. Let me just be honest with y'all. So, like, work is work, but the support around it can be very distracting. You know what I mean? There's a difference between being a diehard fan and supporting your team and loving your team versus somebody that's betting on a parlay or somebody that wants to hit. And don't get me wrong, I don't want anybody wasting their money on me. But god dang.
Said, don't bet on me. So for some people, this is no longer entertainment. This is really their rent money, their bill money, and their grocery money being placed on outcomes that they cannot control. And the craziest part is it didn't initially feel like gambling. It felt like, well, it's just $10. It's just one bet. I know this team. This is my team. They got this. But what people didn't realize is that the system was designed to keep you going because you didn't just lose, you almost win. You hit 2 legs of a parlay. You missed the 3rd leg by 1 point. Now you're thinking, I was this close. Let me try again. And that's how the cycle starts. Not with a big loss, but with the near win.
When you lose your parlay by 1 point.
You just lost by 1 point. I'm done with this bullshit, yo. Fuck this dumbass act.
This entire system is built on dopamine hits, instant gratification, and the illusion of control. You're watching the game anyways, so it feels harmless. But your brain is being trained to associate watching sports with risking money. And once that connection is made, it's very hard to break.
I got too much fucking money on this shit. Come on, man. No.
Why maluco? What do we do? Back tackle! No! 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 Bro, wait! Bro. What the fuck? Fucking bullshit!
And unfortunately, this didn't spread from just the league and the sports betting apps. It's now spread throughout the culture. So now we bring in the podcasters and the normalization of this.
Every single one of my friends, if they come to Virginia for a week, I can make them easily $10,000 just doing the sportsbook sign-up bonuses. Because most of these books, sportsbooks know the average customer loses $2,000 a year off of us. Wow. So most of them run like pretty lucrative deposit matches. Some are only you put in 100, you get 100 for free. Some are bigger. But like if you did every sportsbook in a mathematically optimal way, I have a YouTube video breaking it down, but like you traveled to every state, which I used to do, you could make 18 grand.
Because if you really pay attention, the sports betting didn't blow up on its own. It was marketed aggressively. It wasn't just through commercials, but through people that you trusted. You had podcast hosts talking about their bets, influencers posting their winning slips like it was a flex, comedians joking about losing money, athletes partnering with betting companies, and even your favorite sports analysis breaking down the odds on live television. This is where it started to feel normal and harmless and even fun, but it's all about programming. So instead of the messaging being that, you know, hey, this could be a problem, the message is now, look how much I won. Use my code. This is easy money. You rarely saw the losses, the addiction, or the people chasing to try and get their money back. You saw people like Shannon Sharp really going hard promoting DraftKings. Even, you know, Jason Whitlock, who claimed that he would never, you know, promote sports gambling, he started promoting on his platform as well. So you saw a lot of people getting involved, especially influencers like Drewski, you know, LeBron James has been promoting it. Giannis from the Milwaukee Bucks, he became a shareholder in Kalshi, which is a regulated prediction market that allows betting on economics and sports events. So he's the first NBA player to invest in a betting adjacent platform. And so his involvement, it's really thin ice because he's going to make money either way. If he does good, he makes money. If he doesn't do good, he makes money because he's invested.
I want to know how this is allowed. How is Giannis able to come out today and say that he is a stakeholder in Kalshi? How is that not a huge conflict of interest with the NBA? They are in the middle of a huge investigation of Terry Rozier throwing games, the FBI's involved, and now they have one of their biggest stars partnering up with a prediction market. This cannot happen. And there are some people out there who are mad about LeBron James being with DraftKings doing commercials for them. What Giannis is doing is way worse. Because LeBron James doesn't have a ownership stake in DraftKings. He's just a brand ambassador for them. He's in the commercials, that's it. He doesn't get any money from DraftKings aside from commercials. But Giannis now has a vested interest in Kalshi getting as much money as possible by any means necessary. And that is terrible for the NBA, because if there's a game where he's playing and his line, everyone's betting it over, well, they're going to want to get the under so they get more money as a platform, and that is going to start the NBA looking more into Giannis rigging games. This is going to get so ugly. Like right here, how are we supposed to know that Giannis wasn't already playing the market with Kalshi? Because he was on the trade block all year long, and then you could actually pick whether he was going to stay in Milwaukee, whether he was going to retire, or go to another team. Well, it showed that he's staying in Milwaukee. We heard that from Shams and everybody else. And then the day after that happens, he announces he's with Kalshi, and it made them $23 million. Like, this is going to get so ugly. The only thing that makes sense is if Giannis is done. Like, maybe he's going to play over in Greece. Who knows? But right now, the NBA needs to step in. There is no way they can let this partnership happen. And if they do, they're just going to have to tell Giannis, hey, you're not allowed to play NBA games anymore because there is a vested interest for you rigging these games and you going under, you trying to go over, you just not playing, because you could bet anything on Kalshi, and this is going to be so bad for the NBA.
They claim that he's strictly banned from trading on the NBA-related markets, but that's all BS. We don't know what he's trading on, or if he has his wife or, a close family member trading on his behalf. This is a really, really slippery slope, and I think it's insane that we now have NBA players that are now shareholders in these sports betting companies. Because let's keep it real, these companies don't make money from people winning. They make money from keeping people trapped in the system, repeating bets, chasing losses, and constant engagement, where it feels normalized and more people participate. So right now we got the league pushing it. The apps are making it easy. They're saying that even casinos in Las Vegas and casinos, we have casinos here in Minnesota, a lot of them are losing foot traffic because now people feel like, well, why should I spend money on a plane ticket and hotel rooms and all this to go bet in Las Vegas when I can just be here in my home? I can be on my couch and place a bet. Why burn gas to go to the casino when the casino's in my hand? So these apps are making it very easy. And you have social media celebrating it. So all of this working together makes something that used to seem risky feel routine. And with The Boys, which is an NFL podcast, in 2023, the hosts William Compton and Taylor Lewan signed a 3-year deal with FanDuel worth $30 million. And all they had to do was basically read FanDuel ads and produce content for sports betting companies over the next 3 years. David Portnoy revealed the terms publicly on Club Shay Shay. He said, I want to make sure y'all hear this clearly. These guys have infinity money. David Portnoy, who's been in the industry for years, is saying that these gambling companies have infinity money. Means that they have the money to give to these influencers, to give to these retired NFL and NBA podcasters, to promote their business, because they know at the end of the day they're going to make more money from regular people placing these $5 and $10 bets and losing it versus what they pay out to these podcasters and influencers. Yeah, Shannon Sharp, Charles Barkley, Scott Van Pelt, Bill Simmons. You gotta think to yourself, what do they all have in common? They're all trusted voices. It's like watching your brother or your father, your son or your uncle, speak about sports for hours every week. And now they've been monetized by gambling companies. And they're promoting it very, very heavy because they get a bag. They're promoting it to poor people, middle-class people who don't have it like that. And these people who are multimillionaires are promoting that you should spend your money gambling and putting bets on these teams. And they're getting a bag to say that. So let's also talk about LeBron James, because he's not innocent in this at all. LeBron James' situation is one that illustrates a big picture. In 2024, DraftKings announced an official partnership with LeBron James. He is providing weekly football picks and other content for their platform. The CEO of DraftKings called it an honor and a privilege to welcome one of the most influential, greatest athletes of all time to the DraftKings family. DraftKings did not disclose the terms of the deal, but think about it. LeBron has over 100 million Instagram followers. He's considered one of the most influential figures in American culture, not just sport. When LeBron James tags DraftKings in a post promoting Super Bowl betting, that post alone drove $645,000 in estimated media value for that brand. And that was just from 7 posts.
The King is going full swing into his alter ego, Le Gambler, with his most recent partnership with DraftKings. And sports gambling couldn't be any more mainstream than this. As a result of the multi-year deal, James will be giving his NFL picks focusing on football only, as NBA betting is not allowed to be even discussed by players or coaches. If you remember back in week 4 of this NFL season, LeBron went live and gave out his picks for each game, and the internet internet absolutely loved it. James likely received a sizable deal from the gambling giant as the sportsbooks attempts to gain further market share in the sports betting world. But the main question is, are you going to be tailing the Legambler? The king is going full swing into his alter ego, Legambler, with his most recent partnership with DraftKings. And sports gambling couldn't be any more mainstream than this. As a result of the multi-year deal, James will be giving his NFL picks focusing on football only, as NBA betting is not allowed to be even discussed by players or coaches. If you remember back in week 4 of this NFL season, LeBron went live and gave out his picks for each game, and the internet absolutely loved it. James likely received a sizable deal from the gambling giant as the sportsbooks attempts to gain further market share in the sports betting world. But the main question is, are you going to be tailing the Legambler?
Touchdown as the Buckeyes score. Over.
Let's go, baby. Yo, Mike Check 1 2. This is LeBron James live from the National Championship here in Atlanta, Georgia. The Ohio State Buckeyes going against Notre Dame. You know who I'm rooting for. You know why I'm here. First, I got Jeremiah Smith, average receiver, scoring for the Buckeyes. Final score of the game, I got Ohio State 38, Notre Dame 17. Let's go.
As a Bronsexual, as a LeBron James Glazer, I love everything that he's done with his career. On the court, off the court. But the only thing that I can't stand him doing is seeing him on DraftKings ads. It's not like he doesn't have other opportunities for sponsorships either. He makes millions of dollars doing that. But he just had to do DraftKings, bro. Come on, bro.
But now let's look at it a little bit deeper. Because LeBron's audience is heavily young black men. According to Pew Research data from 2025, black adults are more likely than any other demographic to have bet on sports in the past year. Hispanic adults follow at 27. Young adults under the age of 30 are significantly more likely to bet than their older age groups. The audience that's most aggressively being marketed to by these platforms is the same audience that's the most financially vulnerable to losses. And LeBron James, who built his entire brand around empowerment and doing it right by his community, has a financial partnership with a company that holds the second largest market share of product that's causing the same documented harm to the exact demographic that he built his legacy serving.
But what you almost never hear about is how big of a public health problem gambling has actually become. One of the clearest signals is what's happening with gambling help hotlines. So in Virginia, calls to their gambling hotline have increased nearly 800% from 2019 to 2022, right as online sports betting expanded. That's not a small jump by any means, and it's not people calling out of curiosity. That's people in crisis asking for help, and it's not just Virginia. In New Jersey, calls to their helpline have increased about 300% since sports betting was legalized. Calls from parents worried about their children have risen by roughly 800% as well, so that tells you something important. The harm isn't limited to just casinos, it's not limited to older gamblers, it's showing up in younger people who never had to walk into a casino because gambling now lives on their phone.
Now let's get on the comedy angle. One of the people that tends to fly under the radar is Drewski, okay? Drewski signed a brand ambassador deal with Prize Picks, which is the largest skill-based daily fantasy sports operator in North America. The deal included developing original content, co-branded merchandise, national advertising campaign, short-form YouTube series, and social media takeovers during NFL Sundays. Drewski has over 10 million Instagram followers and 9.9 million on TikTok and 1.5 million on X. He's also in Prize Picks commercials alongside Marshawn Lynch and Reggie Bush.
Pixmas is coming to town. Here we go. It was the night before Picmas from east to west. The members all gathered to pick more or less. Standing on business from 2 up to 6. They all dreamed of 25 times on their picks. The biggest sports fans lay awake in their bed as visions of buzzer beaters played in their heads. From football fanatics to basketball stands, each one was up making Picmas Day plans. I knew all the stats, understood the assignment. It was time to get all of my picks in alignment. My feeds all lit up with friends talking trash, so I dropped a meme and made them all laugh. The picks that the members all skillfully cooked hit like fire and the haters were shook. The hype was electric in every DM. If not, get them next time. Bowl games come and win. No matter what happens, the day will be lit. Happy Pixmas to all and may all the picks hit. Ho, ho, ho. Merry Pixmas.
The reason the comedy angle is so important yet so dangerous is this. When you laugh at something, you lower your guard. Comedy is one of the most effective forms of persuasion that exists, because it bypasses your critical thinking filters. So when someone makes you laugh, your brain does not process it the same way as a processed sales pitch. It processes it as entertainment. And when entertainment consistently shows you gambling as funny and lighthearted and the cool thing that cool people do, your association with gambling starts to shift. It stops being associated with risk and it starts being associated with a good time. That shift in association is exactly what the industry needs to do to convert a sports fan into a bettor. Drewski's funny, he's beloved, and he's genuine. And his presence in the gambling advertising world is doing exactly what his 10 million follower count is worth to these companies. It's making the product feel like a part of the culture instead of a financial product that's being engineered. One of the lawsuits that was filed against DraftKings and FanDuel came about just last month in March of 2026, and it described 3 young men who each started with small recreational bets, ended up wagering an amount that were multiple times their annual income. One man wagered a $1.5 million bet in a single year, more than 15 times his income, and left his job to gamble full time. He is now in therapy for gambling addiction. The lawsuit accuses sportsbooks of using technology and methods similar to social media companies to keep customers betting and causing addiction. Hours after the Los Angeles jury found that Meta and YouTube harmed young users through addictive design, the same attorneys filed against DraftKings and FanDuel using the same framework. The comparison is not coincidental. The addiction architecture is the same. The social media companies keep you scrolling and the betting companies keep you betting. Different product, identical design.
My friend's absolutely right, given an excellent speech. It isn't about banning gambling. It is about safeguarding. And actually there are companies who are grooming children now to get them addicted to gambling. And that is why we have to tackle gambling harms, not just online but on our high streets. And that's why my campaign to remove Aim to Permit from the Gambling Act is so important. Will my honourable friend agree with me that this is all very much connected?
Yeah, I entirely agree with my honourable friend. This is all very much interconnected.
Even when I'm broke, I got money to bet. I might be broke like I can't go out and party broke. I might be broke like I don't want to hang out with y'all and do stupid stuff broke. But I'm never too broke to place a bet, I promise you.
So I can see more lawsuits coming down the pipeline because, again, this didn't happen overnight, nor was it random. It wasn't just people deciding to gamble more. This was built piece by piece, year by year, and deal by deal. This is a system where the league needs attention, companies needed users, and influencers needed sponsorships. At the end of the day, you're not just placing bets. You are the revenue stream. Every loss, every retry, every I'll do one more, that's their business model.
Everybody good at betting until it's time to check their career earnings. Yeah, why it say negative 4,000 on that joint? Why would you check yours? You see negative 14,000. You ain't even know you touched that much shit.
What makes this even more dangerous is that it doesn't look dangerous, okay? There's no dark casino room. There's no flashing warning signs. It's your phone. It's clean, it's easy, and it's marketed as entertainment. So people don't recognize it until it's already affecting them, until the money's gone, until the habit has formed, and the line between fun and addiction is blurred. And I think the hardest truth of all this is that a lot of people didn't get pulled into this because they were reckless. They got pulled into this because they trusted what they were seeing. They trusted the leagues, the personalities, and the platforms. They trusted that if it was being pushed this hard, that it must be safe. And everything got normalized. But unfortunately, everything that's normalized does not mean that it's harmless. Everything that's legal is not without consequences. Because the truth is this, nobody forced this into people's lives. It was introduced, it was normalized, and it was made to feel familiar and safe. Little by little, it became a habit. And habits don't always look dangerous in the beginning. They look like something you do to pass by time, something everybody else doing, and something that feels small until it isn't. Because the systems were never built for you to win once and walk away. It was built for you to stay, to come back, to try again, and to believe that the next one might be different. And by the time people realize what's happening, they're not just watching the game anymore. They're chasing something. So maybe it isn't just about sports betting. Maybe it's about how easily something can be packaged as entertainment, marketed as normal, and quietly turn into something else entirely. And that's the most dangerous systems, because it doesn't feel dangerous when you enter it. It feels exciting. It feels harmless. It feels like because everybody's doing it, it must be okay. And by the time you question it, by the time you finally realize what's going on, it's too late. It's really dark what's going on in the gambling world.
Just when I thought oppressors couldn't get any more wicked, evidently the White House had been placing wages and betting on the war in Iran. Say if they go bomb another little girl's school, they can put a bet down on how many of the children are going to die. They can put a bet down on strikes and missiles and people dying. This is a real thing. How wicked can you be? Y'all really showing y'all true colors, man. For real. You ain't gotta believe me. Check out this clip.
As we've seen in sports, athletic figures, including college athletes, being berated by people who lost bets because they didn't get a rebound. Well, we have our first example of a war reporter getting this. The Washington Post reporting on a Times of Israel reporter who's been getting death threats because of something he reported about an Iranian strike that lost someone money because they bet about the strike on Polymarket. And this, I think, is the first example I've seen of this. But I just was curious to get your reaction to it because you've been ringing the alarm bells about how insidious this entire thing is.
Yeah, I introduced legislation with Representative Greg Casar today to ban the ability for these prediction markets to offer bets on government action. And it's just insidious because we know that there have been people inside the Trump White House that have been making bets on war with Iran. Now, nobody should be making money off of life and death. These are essentially bets on when dozens of people are going to die in Israel or in Iran. But it's worse than that because it allows people close to the president who have made a bet on, let's say, a strike happening on a particular day to give advice to the president based on what makes them money rather than what's best for national security. So there should be a complete prohibition on anybody being able to wager on life, death, famine, or frankly, any other national security decision that's being made at the White House. And hopefully people will see some merit in our legislation.
So breaking news, everybody. While I was editing this video and talking about the dangers of Kalshi and other prediction market betting sites, what's very crazy is that just a day ago, a U.S. Army Special Forces soldier, his name is Gannon Ken Van Dyke, he's now been charged after allegedly using classified military information to win over $400,000 on Polymarket, which is a betting platform. According to federal prosecutors, this wasn't just a lucky guess. This man was directly involved in the planning and the real military operation that led to the raid and capture of the Venezuelan leader, Nicolas Maduro. And he allegedly used that insider knowledge to place a strategic bet before the public even knew it was about to happen. We're talking about somebody who turned his $30,000 savings into over $400,000. So this is big news. Everybody's talking about this, and even Trump weighed in. So I'm going to go ahead and play you guys a clip right here.
On a U.S. Special Forces soldier who was involved in the capture of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. He's now charged with using classified information about the mission to win $400,000 on an online betting site. President Trump also sharing his opinion about the arrest. Eyewitness News reporter Leanne Suter here with the story. Leanne.
Mark, the DOJ says the Fort Bragg soldier became involved in the planning of the Maduro mission at the beginning of December. At the end of the month, he allegedly began placing bets on a prediction market that the Venezuelan leader would be captured. His last alleged bet on the eve of the raid. Residents and the world were surprised by the sudden violent raid and shocking captures Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. But a U.S. Special Forces soldier involved in the daring military operation is now accused of using his prior knowledge of the plan to bet on the secret mission before it even happened, pocketing nearly $500,000.
It's appalling. It's staggering. And maybe in this climate, it should not be surprising. But think about it. This is insider trading of a whole nother level.
Gannon Ken Van Dyke was part of the Special Forces operation that moved in under the cover of darkness to snatch the Venezuelan leader. Federal prosecutors say days earlier, Van Dyke began placing bets totaling more than $33,000 on Polymarket that Maduro would be removed from office by the end of January. That series of bets netting Van Dyke more than $400,000. Polymarket says the suspicious bets were referred to the Department of Justice, saying insider trading has no place base on their platform. President Trump was asked if he's concerned government insiders are getting rich by betting in prediction markets.
That's like Pete Rose betting on his own team. The whole world, unfortunately, has become somewhat of a casino. And you look at what's going on all over the world, in Europe and every place they're doing these betting things. I was never much in favor of it. I don't like it conceptually.
This is the first time the Justice Department is prosecuting someone for exploiting inside knowledge to win big on a prediction market. Van Dyke's use of his knowledge of Maduro's potential capture now has him charged with fraud and unlawful use of confidential government information for personal gain. As Maduro sits in federal custody, several Republican members of Congress are calling for Van Dyke to be pardoned, saying the charges go too far. Other lawmakers say the soldier should be held fully accountable.
It is staggering, obviously clearly unregulated, clearly dishonorable, I hope criminal.
Van Dyke, again, who is stationed at Fort Bragg in North Carolina, faces 5 federal counts. The 38-year-old has been charged in a civil complaint by the Commodity Futures Trading Commission for allegedly using classified non-public information to make the wagers.
All right, so you guys just saw that clip. So this whole situation is insane. And what makes it even more insane is while this soldier is being charged and facing very serious consequences, a lot of people online are asking bigger questions. Why is it that a lower level person has been caught, but those in power, they get away with all types of insider trading? We've had members of Congress face scrutiny over stock trades, timing of investments, and access to non-public information. But very few of those high-profile individuals face any consequences. Trump even said himself the world is turning into a casino, which is very interesting, being that a lot of his business ventures had been in casinos. Now, the scary part is this isn't just about sports anymore. You know, initially it was about your favorite team or your favorite player, you know, how many points they can score, but it's gone on from that into people betting on wars, political events, military operations, and now somebody has made a gigantic profit off of it. So it's not just gambling. Now you have insider trading mixed with real world consequences. And this is exactly why the whole betting culture, to me personally, has started to feel very, very dangerous. Because when you normalize betting on everything from sports to politics to world events, you create an environment where people start chasing money over integrity, and people feel pressure to influence outcomes. And now even people with classified information are getting involved. It's not just guessing what the weather is going to be on a random Tuesday. You have people who know insider stuff, like literally going to get Maduro, and they're placing bets on it and winning big. So when I talk about the NFL and the NBA and a lot of these rappers and celebrities and influencers pushing sports betting, it's bigger than just their fans losing money. It's about how this entire culture is spreading. When you normalize betting on everything, when information becomes valuable currency, you create a system where the lines between fairness, influence, and profit start to blur. So tea sippers, I leave the conversation up to you guys. Let's go ahead and get the discussion popping. Please leave a comment down below. Please hit this video with a like. Feel free to share the video. I want to know your thoughts on all this sports gambling. Do you yourself have an addiction? Family members? Are you into sports betting? Are you not into sports betting? Are you using sites like Kalshi and other things like predictive markets to gamble? And do you feel like this is constantly being pushed on us more and more and being normalized to bet on every aspect of our life? So I look forward to reading y'all's comments down below. Thank you for watching. Enjoy your day. Deuces.
Latest news in the streets. Join us and tune in for the tea. Breaking news with integrity. So tell your friends and your family. It's the Lovely Tea TV Show. Bringing you good tea and good vibes. It's the Lovely Tea TV Show. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe.